evening and welcome. I am Naomi Clausen and you are watching Women's Talk right here on CTV. It's channel 263 on the DSTV channel. Well, it is the month of August and we are celebrating Women's Month, or Women's Day, should I rather say, on the 9th of August. And we remember all those brave women who marched to the Union buildings on August 9th, 1956. We are celebrating 60 years this year of these brave women that really fought against the extension of past laws on women, and we are very privileged that we are able to live in a free and democratic society because of their bold step that they took. So yes, in studio today I'm joined by a beautiful and phenomenal lady who has done great exploits. She started her business way back in 1979 and she's come a long way. She recognized that women in society also needed to be recognized, and this is exactly what she's done with this award that she's implemented since 2012. She's here and she's here to share her journey and her story. Let us welcome Margaret Hirsch at CTV on Women's Talk today. Margaret, it's so good to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Fantastic. I read all about you on the weekend, and you know what? I thank God for the internet.
Yes,
because what would we do without it, right?
Wonderful. I've even written cookbooks over the internet. When my friend lives in Portugal and we write cookbooks, she's in Portugal and we publish them here. Can you believe it?
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Talk to us. You grew up in Zimbabwe.
I did indeed, and we were there, and my parents went to make their fortune, because in those days that's what people did. And then my father took ill, and we came back to South Africa, because obviously the medical treatment was better in those days. We go way back when. And we came back and he died, and that was the turning point in my life, because I saw my mother, age 35, who had been an adopted, very spoiled only child, brought up, and she'd married the boy next door. Everything had been perfect, and in the Mills and Boons books she would have lived happily ever after. But in real life it didn't work that way. She was thrown into a world where she couldn't cope, and that's why I work with women all the time, because I saw what my mother went through, being chucked into a world where she was very quickly swindled out of the bit of insurance money she got, and she had to go, and she got a job, and she left me in a foster home in Leaf Street, Maritzburg, and she went and got a job in Durban for 30 Rand a month, and that's what we had to live on.
So you grew up, or for short stints of time after your dad passed away, in foster homes?
Yeah, I was only there for a short space of time until she got herself on her feet, because you've got to understand, some women go out there and they have absolutely nothing. You know, women who say they can't leave their husbands because they've got nothing, they actually can, but it's really, really tough. So I was put there until she got on her feet, and 6 months later she took me out, and we went and we lived in
What a bold and brave step to make, you know?
Well, sometimes necessity is the mother of invention. I don't think she did it from choice. And we lived in the back room of a relative's house in Durban, where she worked. And then 18 months later, she married my stepfather, and we went to live back in Pietermaritzburg, funny enough. And it would have been fine, but he had 3 teenagers. There were 2 of us. So we were 5 teenagers and 2 adults living on 50 Rand a month.
Wow.
So it was really tough in those days. So people tell me today they've been poor. I say, you don't even know what poor is. I've been really poor. But I think you've got to make a decision. Do you want to stay there, or do you want to change? And if you want to change, what are you going to do to change? And I made up my mind that I would change. So I was 12 years old, and I was sitting in Chapel Street Baptist Church in Pietermaritzburg. And I looked down at my shoes, and I was the only girl there wearing my school shoes on a Sunday.
On a Sunday.
Because it was the only shoes I had. I didn't have any others. And where we lived is where Hayfields is now. We lived in New England Road, and I used to walk through town to Russell Girls High, where I went to school. And on the way going through, I walked through town and looked at all the beautiful shoe shops, and there was one pair of shoes I just fell in love with them, and they were going to be the perfect shoes for me. So I went in and I said, how much are they? In those days, they were 2 Rand 99 for a pair of shoes. So I went back and I said to my people, could I have the 2 Rand 99? And they said, are you crazy?
That was a fortune at the time.
How can we do that? There's 7 of us living on 50 Rand a month. We can't do that. So I thought, what did God give me? God gave me my brains and my 2 hands. That's all I've got. That's all I had. Nothing else. And if you've got your brains and your 2 hands, you've got to know that there's something out there for you. So I went and I decided, and you will not believe if you look at me today, but my hair is black and very frizzy. So this horrible black frizzy hair that I hated, and that I used to put brown paper on the ironing board and iron with an iron in those days before straighteners were invented. And so I thought, well, if I get a job in a hairdresser, I'll be able to have my hair done, and I'll get money as well. So I went to the hairdresser and I knocked on the door and I said, could I have a job? And they said to me, Futsak, get out of here. What are you doing here? No, you can't have a job. But did get put off because I was really determined. I wanted that pair of shoes. And the next Saturday, I knocked at the next hairdresser, and she said, "Go away, you're too little. You can't even reach the basin." And so it went on. But the 7th Saturday, and it's always 7's a very good number to remember. 7th Saturday, I knocked on the door, Orby Road, Pietermaritzburg, and the lady who owned the hairdressing salon said, "Come in, and I'll see if I can find you a job. My girl hasn't come to work today." Now, I worked there that Saturday for 50 cents for a Saturday morning, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's better than nothing. And I knew that I had to work better than all the other girls, because if I didn't, I wouldn't get another job. When the other girl came back to work the next week, I'd be out. So I worked really hard. I had never washed hair in my life, apart from my own, and we were poor, so we used to use Sunlight soap to wash our hair. So I saw all these shampoos and conditioners, which I'd never seen in my life. And then I watched all the others, and the reason I tell you the story is sometimes if you don't know what to do, you watch what the others do. You do the same. So I just watched what the others did. I did the same. I saw the conditioner, I put it on, saw how they massaged, did everything. And then she said to me, "You've worked so well, you can come back next week." So I did.
That's amazing.
And that's how I started. But the next week when I went to school, I walked past the shoe shop and I said to them, "Have you got those shoes in size 6? And they said, "Yes, we have." I said, "Keep them for me, I'll be back." So I went back the next week and I another 50 cents. And so long story short, on the 7th Saturday, I had the money to buy those shoes. And I wore them from when I was 12 to when I was 15. And the reason I tell you that story is because sometimes if you really have to work for something, you appreciate it. Imagine my parents just gave me the shoes. So you said, I said, "No, I don't like the color. Can I have something else?" But I want to tell you, when you've worked for it, you appreciate it, you enjoy it, and I really valued them. So that was my start.
That's a goosebump story. I'm sitting here getting goosebumps. Yeah. Did you always know that you wanted to go into business?
No, I never had a clue. You never got to understand. A lot of people don't even know what a business is. I didn't even know what a business was all about. I didn't know how shops worked. I didn't know anything like that. So I went to school. I finished school and I went overseas. And when I came back, I met my husband. And I had a job. I got a job at the Building Society, which everybody worked in those days. You know, you either were a teacher, you worked at the bank, or you were a nurse. And in my day, that's what you were. So I got a job in the Building Society, and I was very happy there. And I met my husband. When I met my husband, he was 24 years old. He could neither read nor write. He'd been through school his whole life. And the reason I tell you that, there's a lot of people watching that are struggling at school. I think they're never going to get ahead. I want to tell you, school is absolutely fine for a lot of things, but in real life, if you're a good person, it's going to make a huge, huge difference. So, I met him, and he really had no qualifications at all. And his father said to him, "You are never going to get your matric, so you may as well go out and get a job where you can work with your hands." And he did. He was a refrigeration mechanic, and that's how he started. So we got married, and I just knew that he was really, really clever, that he just hadn't worked in the school system. So
no, you are right. There are people who are more practically inclined and that can do things with their hands.
Absolutely.
As I was doing my research on you and on the company that you and your husband started, I saw that you actually started as a repair company where you fixed things.
We did.
Yes.
Yeah, we used to fix fridges and stoves and washing machines. We really started fixing air conditioners mostly, but then we had to just do everything. So that's why I say in life, you think you're going to do this, but sometimes you just got to diversify, but you've got to do whatever job you can do.
And be open.
Yes.
To whatever life throws at you. I said it about a couple of weeks ago. There's a saying that when life throws you lemons, what are you going to make and do with it? So make lemonade.
Yes.
And that is, I think, what you and your husband did.
We did.
So just talk to us about how Hirsch's was formed. We know that you started as a repair company, but talk to us about how you built this brand. And for those that don't know what Hirsch stands for and what it sells, if you could also just enlighten the viewers.
We started, I was working, and then when after I'd been married for 5 years, I got pregnant, and as soon as my boss knew I was pregnant, he fired me. In those days, there was no CCMA. You took your handbag and you went home, so there was nothing else you could do. So I was at home, and my husband, who was working as a repairman in those days, he said to his boss, "You got to go back." This was 1976, 77, around there. Right. And he said to his boss, it was the year Alan J. Hellman started Game, Dion Friedlander started Dion's, Tony Factor was big in Joburg. And he said to his boss, "Why don't you start discounting?" And his boss said to him, "If you're so clever, go start your own business." Okay. So he came home, he said, "I think I'm going to start my own business." I said, "Are you crazy? I've just given up work, we're going to have a baby." Long story short, we went from having 2 jobs and no children to having 2 children and no jobs in the space of 1 year. Wow. So it was very different. And, people say, "Why didn't what happened?" I said, "We didn't have a backstop. We just had to go forward." So we did. Yes. And that's how we started, just one job at a time. and that we built up. And sometimes we'd go for 3 weeks phoning people and say, would you like your air conditioner service? And they say, no, buzz off, go away, stop phoning me. But we had to persevere and carry on until one day it was really hot, and then everybody said, can you please fix our air conditioner now? And that's how we started.
That's amazing.
And we were just doing repairs, and then sometimes people would go to fix a lady's washing machine, it wasn't worth fixing. So we'd buy a new one and we'd sell it to her because it was convenient, you know. And that's how we started getting into selling, you know. And then, of course, in everybody's life there's a tipping point. So we would have fridges and stoves and washing machines, which we knew. But in those days, in 1979, nobody knew what a microwave oven was. It was something completely new. Nobody knew. They were scared of it. Oh, my goodness, what's going to happen?
Going to get cancer.
Yeah, you know, it's going to cook me. And
yes.
So we sat with this microwave oven, and nobody would buy it.
Oh.
And then the one weekend I took it home, and I love cooking, and I love things that are fast, so you can talk fast. So I started cooking in there, and I could do a chicken instead of an hour and a half to 2 hours in the oven. I could do it in 20 minutes.
Yes.
And I baked a pineapple upside down cake in 3 minutes. And I thought, this is wonderful. So I called the neighbors in, and they all saw it. They were amazed. And they all went and bought it somewhere else.
And you had a microwave party, a microwave demonstration
party?
party?
Then I decided to have the party in the shop so people would know they could buy them there.
Yes.
Yeah, so we invited 11 people, and we sold 9 microwaves the first day, and that was how we realized that today people want to know how things work, and they want to be shown, and it's easy if you do it that way.
How many stores have you opened since that day?
Well, we've got lots of different stores. We've actually got 22 outlets, which are our big mega stores that you've seen. We have concept stores, like we have the Samsung stores.
Yes.
So we have a repair department, we have a central warehouse. So we've got lots and lots of outlets now. And yeah, and I'm happy to say, while other companies are closing down, our company goes from strength to strength.
And you're still moving forward. Margaret, your business is involved in a number of charity work. I think you've been born for this. You involved with Girls with Dignity. Very briefly, tell us about that project.
Well, when I won Businesswoman South Africa in 2012, I decided that year I would spend that year doing, I had to give back. How would I give back? What would I do? And part of Businesswoman South Africa, you've got to talk to the businesswomen's clubs in every town in South Africa. And it was in PE when I met a lady by the name of Michelle Brown, who's an absolutely fabulous lady. And she told me about this, and I couldn't believe it. I was 62 years old, and I'd never ever thought that some girls couldn't go to school because they didn't have sanitary protection. And a simple thing that we would take for granted, I'd taken for granted my whole life. And then these girls were suffering because they couldn't. So she told me about it, and I met Sue Barnes, who lived in Durban, who makes the sanitary pads, and she's a fashion designer by profession, so you never know when you're going to fashion design what you might end up doing. She was sitting in her garage sewing reusable sanitary pads, and we started taking them into the schools. And that's when I realized how huge this problem was, because you would go into schools where these girls are clever. The girls come to me and say, "Man, Mrs. Hirsch, I'm the cleverest girl in the school, but if I get my period, I have to get naught for that test because I can't write the test. I can't sit for 3 hours because I've got no way of sitting still for 3 hours." So then we realized what a difference it would make, and we started monitoring the girls. We'd take them in, and these girls were getting between 40 and 60%, but the boys who were there for 4 weeks of the month were getting between 60 and 80%. So the wrong message was being sent to the girls, first of all. Secondly, they thought that they were inferior, and thirdly, their marks were bad. But after a year, when we went back, we saw that those same girls, their marks had gone up and up and up, and they were between the 60 and 80s as well. But what, to me, the most amazing thing, what it had done is not only made their marks get better, but it had improved their self-esteem, their self-confidence. They had confidence. They knew they could do things, and that was the difference.
I mean, I salute you and the other lady that is the forerunner of this project. In the last minute that we have, literally 1 minute that we have left, just talk to us about the award that you have implemented.
So when I won Businesswoman South Africa in 2012, it really made a difference in my life. And then I went on to win Top Woman 2013, 2014, and various other. I've won now 16 different awards. And it made a big difference in my life, to myself and to my self-esteem and to my credibility. So, but to do that, you have to have a business that's been going for more than 3 years, earn over R1 million a year. And what happens to those little businesses where they need that leg up to take them a little bit further? So I started my own Margaret Hirsch Women in Business Achievers Awards, where we would nominate, and girls would come to us. We have in all our branches, we have a meeting on the second Thursday of every month. and we get all businesswomen from the area to come and get together, to network together, and then we would choose a winner, and those winners go forward to our grand final. We've just had it in Durban. We've got our grand final coming up in October in Johannesburg, and then it'll be February in Cape Town. So we take all the winners from all the branches, and then we choose an all-round winner.
Yes.
The winner gets 10,000 Rand, the second prize gets 5,000, and the third prize gets 2,000. Yeah.
Amazing work that you're doing. We could do this for another hour or
Absolutely.
so, hey, and I would still just hang on every word that you say. But we have to end it here. I want to thank you for the amazing work that you're doing amongst the women in South Africa. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Hey, I salute you.
And women keep getting stronger and stronger.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Goosebumps I have all over my body listening to the story of this amazing and phenomenal woman. And it gives me hope, and it should give hope to you too. You can start with very small, and you can build your business to what, maybe I don't know what levels to, but you can make a success of your business. So we wish you well in your future endeavors, ladies. And as I said earlier on, from one woman to another, let us support one another in our businesses as well as in our everyday lives. Moving along, immunization is critical in early childhood development, and failure to immunize your child could lead to serious implications in later years. After the break, we will speak to Sister Hetty, who will give you all the information that you need on how to immunize your child. Don't go anywhere.